You keep waiting for the right moment when things feel ready, stable, and ideal before you take action. Hello, I'm Winnie Marita from Your Mind is the Limit community, where we challenge limiting beliefs and grow from the inside out. In this video, I'm going to break down why perfectionism might be the very thing that's keeping you stuck. When you strip away perfectionism, you realize that it's a limiting belief about mistakes, worth, and failure. It's an all or nothing way of thinking. It comes from a belief that anything less than perfect isn't good enough. Gradually, that belief can make you feel like you're only lovable, worthy, or acceptable when you get everything right with no mistakes. But the reality is, it is impossible to live up to that standard. We are imperfect people living in an imperfect world. Mistakes, setbacks, and flaws are a part of being human. And of course, perfectionism is not all bad. It has its advantages, like it can push you to maintain high standards, pay attention to detail, and produce high quality work. The problem comes in when those standards become so unrealistic that they stop you from making progress or taking action. Beyond how it shows up in your behavior, it also has real consequences in your day-to-day life. Perfectionism makes it difficult to separate who you are from what you do. When your identity becomes tied to your performance, your work stops being something you create and starts becoming a reflection of your worth. This is especially common among creatives and entrepreneurs. I know this because I have struggled with it myself. When I began my web design journey, I found it hard to receive feedback from my clients. If a client said something like, "I don't like this design," or "this color doesn't work," I would translate it to, "I'm not creative." In their purest intention, they were simply giving feedback on the work. But because my identity was closely tied to the work, I couldn't tell the difference. The other thing is that perfectionism leads to procrastination. It keeps you trapped in a cycle of waiting. You keep waiting for the right moment when things feel ready, stable, and ideal before you take action. You might say, "I will start a business when I have X amount of money," but doing nothing about it. What you're really doing is procrastinating while convincing yourself that you're waiting for this huge amount of money all at once so that you can start your business. While that can happen for some people, it rarely happens for most of us. Progress usually comes from starting small and being consistent, not from waiting for perfect conditions. The other thing is that perfectionism affects relationships. It makes you feel like you should only show up when you're doing well or when you have everything figured out. As a result, you hide your struggles and weaknesses from your loved ones. The problem is that relationships thrive on honesty and vulnerability. If you remove those things, it becomes difficult for people to truly connect with you. This has affected me too, because several of my friends have complained that I tend to disappear when I'm going through a difficult season, and that makes it difficult for them to be there for me. Ironically, we are the same people who often feel unsupported when going through a hard time. But if we always act as if everything is under control, it's difficult for other people to realize that we need help. They assume we are fine because that's all we've shown them. Some of the major negative effects of perfectionism are: number one, wastage of time. Perfectionism can be a huge waste of time. Think about all the time spent revising the same email 7 times when the first version was already good enough. You tell yourself you'll start investing when you have more money. Meanwhile, you could start by saving a small amount every month. While you're waiting for things to feel ready, you're actually delaying progress you could already be making in small ways. The truth is, most progress comes from taking small steps consistently, not from waiting for perfect conditions. The second thing is that it slows your growth. If feedback feels like a personal attack, how can you grow? Because feedback is a necessary part of growth. That's why it is important to separate who you are from what you do, so that feedback on your work doesn't become feedback on your identity. This same all or nothing mindset shows up in other areas of life too. You make progress for 4 days, miss one day, and suddenly One small setback feels like a complete failure, so you start over from scratch. That's why we find ourselves starting over every week, every month, or every year. We think that consistency means never missing a day, but it's about getting back on track quickly when we fall off, because consistency isn't about perfection. The people who succeed are not the ones who never make mistakes. They're the ones who keep going despite them. The third thing is that it burns you out. If you're a perfectionist, you may believe that there is no one who can meet your standards. So even when you delegate a task, you find yourself checking every detail, making corrections, or redoing the work yourself. Over time, this creates tension because people around you don't feel trusted to do their jobs or grow from their mistakes. On the other hand, it constantly leaves you exhausted because you are always redoing other people's work even after you've delegated. Last but not least is that perfectionism affects your spiritual growth. Because of this performance-based mindset, instead of resting in His grace, we start to live as though God's love and acceptance must be earned by doing more. So you pray more, fast more, and even serve more, hoping that if you do enough, you'll finally feel accepted and worthy. But the reality is that you're trying to earn something that has already been freely given. The gospel is not an invitation for you to prove yourself to God. It's an invitation to trust what Christ has already done for you. Ephesians chapter 2 verse 8 to 9 says, "For by grace you have been saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest anyone should boast." God's love is not a reward for good performance. It is a gift to be received by grace through faith. So how do you actually start breaking out of this cycle? The first thing is to define success before you start. Define in advance what success looks like to you by having clear and realistic standards instead of constantly moving the goalpost. For example, if your goal is to exercise, don't define success as having the perfect workout. Define success as showing up and exercising for 30 minutes, even if it's not your best session. Or if you're writing, success could be writing 500 words, not creating the perfect draft. At the end of the day, you'll feel satisfied because the goal was both realistic and achievable, instead of being another impossible standard that leaves you feeling like you haven't done enough. The second thing is to be a part of community. Surround yourself with people who are also learning. It helps you realize that mistakes are normal and you don't have to be perfect to make progress. For example, if you want to become a better dancer, join a dancing class. If you want to improve your communication skills, join a communication skills club. Because when you surround yourself with people who are also learning, you stop fearing mistakes and start focusing on growth and progress. Last but not least, accept help. Don't be a superwoman or superman who does everything alone. When you're in a tight situation, don't be afraid to ask for help. We all need one another, and when you allow people to support you, you strengthen your relationships and give yourself the chance to rest instead of carrying everything alone. This is something I'm actively working on, embracing that asking for help isn't weakness and that I don't have to do everything by myself. Perfectionism is like a shifting goalpost because you're always learning and growing. What feels perfect today will likely feel imperfect tomorrow. That's why it never really ends unless you break the cycle and focus on progress instead of perfection. For example, when I made my first video, I thought it was good enough, which is why I published it. But when I look back at it right now, I cringe a little because I have grown, and that's totally normal. The point is, don't wait for everything to be perfect before you start. Perfection comes through repetition. Start with what you have right where you are. If you've made it this far, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I'll see you in the next episode.